Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. A small kitchen on a Saturday morning in 1963. The linoleum floor is scuffed but clean. The refrigerator hums quietly in the corner, and the radio plays softly from the windowsill. Your mother is standing at the counter, unpacking a brown paper bag from the grocery store, her hands careful as she puts away each item. There wasn't much money back then, not for extras, not for luxuries, but there was enough to fill the cupboards with what you needed, and sometimes, if you were lucky, a little something sweet. These weren't the fancy foods you saw in magazine advertisements or on television commercials. These were the staples of working families, the groceries that stretched a dollar as far as it would go. Today, we're counting down 12 grocery items from the 1960s you bought if you were poor. The foods that filled our bellies, fueled our childhoods, and somehow tasted better than anything we can find today. Number 12, potted meat. The tin can lunch that never let you down. Potted meat came in a small, squat tin can with a little key attached to the bottom that you'd twist to peel back the metal lid. Inside was a smooth, salty spread that didn't look like much, but it got you through the week. It was made from scraps, bits of pork, chicken, beef, whatever the processing plant had left over, but to a family counting pennies, it was protein you could afford. You'd spread it on crackers or white bread, maybe add a slice of pickle if you had one, and that was lunch. It wasn't fancy, but it filled you up, and in homes where every nickel mattered, that was enough. Kids took it to school in wax paper wraps, and fathers ate it on their lunch breaks at the factory. Potted meat didn't cost more than a quarter, and a single can could make sandwiches for 2 or 3 people. Over time, as prosperity grew and fresher options became available, potted meat faded from grocery carts. But for those who grew up with it, that little tin can still holds a memory of making do, of simple meals, and of never going hungry. Number 11, powdered milk, the pitcher that saved families money every week. Fresh milk was expensive in the 1960s, especially for larger families, so many mothers turned to powdered milk, a fine white dust that came in cardboard boxes or tall canisters and mixed with water to create something that almost tasted like the real thing. You'd stir it up in a pitcher the night before and let it chill in the refrigerator, hoping the coldness would mask the slightly chalky flavor. It wasn't as creamy as whole milk, and it didn't pour quite the same, but it cost a fraction of the price. Families used it on cereal, in coffee, and for baking, stretching their grocery budgets week after week. Some mothers even mixed powdered milk with fresh milk to make the real stuff last longer, a quiet trick that kids rarely noticed. Nutrition programs and food assistance often provided powdered milk to low-income families, making it a staple in kitchens across the country. As the decades passed and fresh milk became more affordable, powdered milk slowly disappeared from most American tables. But for those who remember mixing it up on Sunday nights, it's a symbol of resourcefulness, of mothers who made miracles out of very little. Number 10, canned corned beef hash, the breakfast that stretched from payday to payday. There was something about opening a can of corned beef hash on a weekday morning. The metallic pop of the can opener, the way the contents slid out in one solid chunk, the sizzle when it hit the hot skillet. Corned beef hash was cheap, filling, and incredibly versatile. It was made from chopped corned beef mixed with diced potatoes and onions, all pressed together and preserved in a tin. You could fry it up until it got crispy on the edges, crack an egg or 2 on top, and call it breakfast for the whole family. A single can cost less than 50 cents and could feed 4 people if you served it with toast or biscuits on the side. Factory workers ate it before their shifts, and mothers served it on mornings when the paycheck was still days away. It wasn't gourmet, but it was dependable, and in households where money was tight, dependability mattered more than anything. As frozen foods and faster options took over grocery store shelves, canned corned beef hash became less common. But for those who grew up eating it, the smell of hash browning in a cast iron skillet still brings back memories of simpler, harder times. Number 9,
Day-old bread, the bakery discount that fed entire neighborhoods. In the 1960s, most grocery stores had a small section near the back where they sold day-old bread at half price or less. The loaves weren't moldy or stale, they were just yesterday's batch, pulled from the shelves to make room for fresh deliveries. For families on a budget, this was a treasure. You could buy 2 or 3 loaves for the price of one, and if you stored them properly or toasted the slices, you'd never know the difference. Mothers used day-old bread for everything: sandwiches, French toast, bread pudding, stuffing, even breadcrumbs for meatloaf. Nothing went to waste. Some bakeries sold entire shopping bags full of assorted rolls, buns, and loaves for $1, and families would line up early to get the best selection. It wasn't about being ashamed of buying day-old bread. It was about being smart, about making your money go further so there was enough left over for milk and eggs. Over time, as frozen foods and faster options became cheaper and more widely available, the day-old section shrank. But for those who remember digging through those discount bins, it's a reminder of an era when thrift wasn't just encouraged, it was survival.
Number 8. Canned tamales, the spicy comfort food that came in a tin. Canned tamales were a working-class staple in the 1960s, especially in the Southwest and in cities with growing Mexican-American communities. They came packed in a thick, reddish sauce, soft and savory, with a cornmeal dough wrapped around a simple filling of seasoned meat. You didn't need to know how to make tamales from scratch. You just opened the can, heated them on the stove, and dinner was ready. They were filling, flavorful, and cost less than $1 for a can that could feed 3 or 4 people. Families ate them with rice, beans, or tortillas, stretching the meal even further. For children, canned tamales were an adventure, a taste of something different, something warm and spicy that broke up the monotony of the week's menu. They weren't authentic, and they didn't compare to homemade tamales wrapped in corn husks, but they didn't have to be. They were affordable, and they filled bellies after long days of work and school. As fresher, faster Mexican food options became available, canned tamales faded from grocery store shelves. But for those who grew up eating them on cold winter nights, there's still a memory of warmth, of full stomachs, and of making the most of what you had. Number 7. Macaroni and cheese, the boxed kind. The blue box that saved dinner 1,000 times. Long before macaroni and cheese became a trendy comfort food, it was survival food. The boxed kind, with the bright orange powder and the elbow noodles, cost $0.25 or less and could feed a family of 4 in less than 15 minutes. You didn't need fresh ingredients or fancy spices. You just needed water, a little butter, and milk, and suddenly you had a hot, cheesy dinner that kids actually wanted to eat. Mothers served it as a main course, not a side dish, often with a can of tuna mixed in or some frozen peas to make it stretch further. It wasn't gourmet, but it was reliable, and in homes where paychecks didn't always cover the groceries, reliability was everything. Children came home from school to the smell of boiling noodles and the bright yellow glow of cheese sauce, and for a moment, everything felt okay. As the decades passed, boxed macaroni and cheese never really disappeared. It's still on shelves today, but its role changed. What was once a necessity became a nostalgia item, a guilty pleasure. But for those who ate it 3 nights a week in the 1960s, it's more than comfort food. It's a memory of mothers who made miracles out of cardboard boxes.
Number 6. Spam, the pink brick that became an American icon. Spam was everywhere in the 1960s. It came in a rectangular tin can, solid and dense, with a gelatinous coating that you'd rinse off before slicing. It was made from pork shoulder, ham, salt, and preservatives. Nothing fancy, nothing fresh, but it was cheap and it lasted forever on the shelf. You could fry it, bake it, dice it into scrambled eggs, or layer it between slices of white bread with a smear of mustard. For families on tight budgets, Spam was a reliable source of protein that didn't require refrigeration until you opened it. It had been a military staple during World War II, and by the 1960s, it had become a fixture in working-class kitchens across the country. Some families ate it once a week, others ate it every day. It didn't taste like fresh ham, but it didn't have to. It just had to be affordable. Over the years, Spam became the butt of jokes, a symbol of processed, low-quality food. But for those who remember slicing it thin and frying it until the edges crisped up, it's a reminder of resilience, of parents who put food on the table no matter what. Number 5. Beans and Franks, canned. The one-pot meal that never failed. Beans and Franks came in a big, heavy can, baked beans in a sweet tomato sauce with chunks of hot dog floating throughout. You heated it on the stove, maybe added a slice of white bread on the side, and that was dinner. It cost less than 50 cents, fed the whole family, and required no cooking skills whatsoever. For mothers working long hours or raising children alone, it was a lifesaver. Kids loved it because it was sweet and familiar, and parents loved it because it was cheap and filling. You could serve it over rice, with cornbread, or straight from the pot with a spoon. It wasn't fancy, and it certainly wasn't healthy by today's standards, but it got you through the week. Some families ate beans and Franks every Friday night, a tradition born not out of preference but out of necessity. As grocery stores began stocking more frozen dinners and microwavable meals, canned beans and Franks became less common. But for those who grew up eating them, the taste is unmistakable. A little sweet, a little salty, and entirely tied to memories of making do with less.
Number 4. Canned evaporated milk. The creamy secret ingredient in every kitchen. Evaporated milk came in small, squat cans with labels that promised richness and versatility. It was milk with most of the water removed, concentrated and shelf-stable, and it cost far less than fresh cream. Mothers used it for everything, in coffee, in mashed potatoes, in macaroni and cheese, and in desserts like pumpkin pie and fudge. It made cheap meals taste richer, creamier, more satisfying. For families who couldn't always afford fresh milk, evaporated milk was a pantry staple that never went bad. You'd punch 2 holes in the top of the can with a church key opener and pour out just what you needed, storing the rest in the refrigerator. It had a slightly cooked, caramelized flavor that some people loved and others tolerated, but either way, it did the job. During the holidays, mothers mixed it with sugar and eggs to make custards and creamy casseroles, turning simple ingredients into something that felt special. As fresh dairy became more accessible and affordable, evaporated milk slowly disappeared from everyday use. But for those who remember the sound of that can opener and the thick, creamy pour, it's a reminder of resourcefulness, of turning limitations into something almost indulgent. Number 3. White rice in bulk. The foundation of 1,000 meals. White rice was one of the cheapest, most versatile foods you could buy in the 1960s. You could get a 5-pound bag for less than $1, and it would last for weeks. It didn't spoil, it didn't need refrigeration, and it could be stretched into breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Mothers cooked big pots of rice and served it alongside whatever protein they could afford: canned tuna, fried Spam, beans, or just butter and salt. It soaked up sauces, filled bellies, and made small portions feel like full meals. For immigrant families and communities of color, rice wasn't just a budget item, it was culture, tradition, and comfort all rolled into one. It connected dinner tables in Harlem to kitchens in Los Angeles, from Southern sharecroppers to Puerto Rican families in the Bronx. White rice wasn't glamorous, but it was dependable. And in homes where every dollar counted, dependability was everything. Over time, as diets diversified and instant rice and microwavable options flooded the market, the ritual of cooking rice from scratch became less common. But for those who grew up watching steam rise from a covered pot on the stove, white rice is more than food. It's a memory of survival, of fullness, of home. Number 2. Oatmeal, plain rolled oats. The breakfast that started every cold morning. Before instant oatmeal packets came in a dozen flavors, there was just plain rolled oats. Simple, cheap, and filling. A large cardboard canister cost less than $1 and could last a family for weeks. Every morning, mothers would boil water, stir in the oats, and watch them bubble and thicken into a warm, creamy porridge. You'd add a little sugar if you had it, maybe a pat of butter or a splash of canned milk, and that was breakfast. It stuck to your ribs, kept you warm on cold winter mornings, and gave you enough energy to make it through the school day or a long shift at work. Oatmeal wasn't exciting, but it was dependable. And in homes where money was tight, that mattered more than variety. Some families ate it every single day, and kids learned to tolerate it, even if they dreamed of sweeter cereals they saw on TV. It was the breakfast of the working class, the rural poor, and anyone who knew that a warm belly was better than an empty one. As sugary cereals and toaster pastries became more affordable, plain oatmeal lost its place at the breakfast table. But for those who remember scraping the bottom of the bowl on a January morning, it's a taste that never really fades. Number 1. Pinto beans, dried in bulk. The humble staple that fed America's poor. If there was one food that defined poverty in the 1960s, it was dried pinto beans. You could buy a pound for less than 20 cents, and that single pound, when soaked and cooked, would swell into enough beans to feed a family for days. They required patience, soaking overnight, simmering for hours, but they delivered protein, fiber, and comfort in a way few other foods could. Mothers cooked them with a ham hock if they could afford it, or just with onions, salt, and a little lard. They served them over rice, with cornbread, or straight from the pot with a spoon. Pinto beans were the foundation of survival cooking in the South, the Southwest, and in working-class neighborhoods across the country. They didn't taste fancy, but they tasted like home. They tasted like a mother's love, like making something out of nothing, like the quiet dignity of feeding your family no matter what. From migrant workers, sharecroppers, and factory families, pinto beans weren't just food, they were survival. Over the years, as canned beans and faster options became available, fewer people took the time to soak and simmer dried beans. But for those who grew up with the smell of beans cooking all day on the stove, it's a memory that never leaves, a memory of resilience, of fullness, of home. These weren't the foods you saw in glossy magazine spreads or television commercials. They weren't fancy, and they certainly weren't trendy, but they were real. They were the meals that filled our bellies when times were hard, the groceries our parents bought when every penny had to count. They remind us of a time when food wasn't about Instagram photos or gourmet ingredients. It was about survival, about love, about doing whatever it took to keep the family fed. Some of these foods are still around today, tucked away on grocery store shelves, while others have faded into memory. But whether you grew up eating them or not, they're a part of American history, a part of the story of millions of families who worked hard, made do with less, and still managed to put something warm on the table every night. If any of these foods bring back memories, if you remember your mother cooking beans on the stove, or your father frying up Spam on a Sunday morning,